Speaking on BBC Politics Live, Mr. Kwarteng argued the UK's deficit has decreased by 8% since 2010, when the Conservative Party took the rein on the government, but BBC host Jo Coburn rebuked his argument, claiming the deficit will, in fact, increase between 2018 and 2020, despite positive predictions of economic growth by Chancellor Philip Hammond on Monday. The Tory MP attempted to hit back, saying, "The deficit is falling. The deficit when we came in 2010, Joe, forgive me for spouting facts, actual facts that can be verified. When we came in it was £160 billion. Your viewers who are above the age of 10 will remember that in 2010 the deficit was £160 billion. We were facing a national disaster. After 8 years of Conservative government, that deficit to GDP ratio has gone from more than 10% to less than 2%. You don't have to be a mathematician to realize that is a vast improvement, but as Ms. Corbyn insisted, her numbers showed a completely different picture. Lord Digby Jones was forced to intervene in a sudden shutdown of the BBC host. The crossbench peer said, "There is a massive difference between trend and year-on-year comparator, so if you look at trend, Kwasi is right and you are wrong." Budget 2018, Lord Digby forced to intervene in heated debate between Jo Coburn and Kwarteng. Image, BBC. Joe, that's a typical question a journalist will ask to get the answers they want. Lord Digby, if you look at year-on-year comparator, you're right. Joe, that's a typical question a journalist will ask to get the answers they want. In a budget signaling a major shift in the government's priorities, the Chancellor declared that a surprise tax windfall from Britain's surging economy allowed the biggest cash injection to the NHS in history, while the tax burden on hard-working households could be eased rather than raised. And he promised that even better times are ahead from a double-deal dividend if Theresa May secures a trade agreement with the EU. He told the Commons, "I can report to the British people that their hard work is paying off and the era of austerity finally coming to an end." His 70-minute speech to MPs announced the freezing of fuel and most alcohol duties, as well as bringing forward expected hikes in the income tax personal allowance threshold a year earlier than planned. The income tax personal allowance will rise to £12,500 and the higher rate threshold will rise to £50,000 from next April, meeting the Tory manifesto pledge to hit the targets before the next general election due in 2022. It will put £130 a year into the pocket of a typical basic rate taxpayer. Ahead of next year's departure from the EU, Mr. Hammond set out a budget for Britain's future to prepare for a new chapter in our country's economic history. The Chancellor said, "We can look confidently to the future and set our course for where this remarkable country will go next." He also insisted his financial measures would help the strivers, the grafters and the carers who are the backbone of our communities and our economy.